Welcome to another episode of Patio Pondering the Podcast. Today is a solo episode. I had a guest lined up, but I saw some things on social media and thought about the discussion we had on the Business of Ag Success Group last week, and I wanted to get some thoughts out. And as Todd Thurman implored me back in December, Jim, you've got thoughts, you need to share them. So I'm sharing. This morning I was listening to the most recent episode of the Rush Hour Ag podcast, and their guest, Craig Rupp, was talking about technology in ag, and kind of cool. You should listen to it. But he made a comment that struck with me, and follow with me, and you'll see why it stuck with me. He said, the problem with farming is a lack of new farmers. How many do we have under 30? Good point. And then I think about when I was scrolling through TikTok late last night trying to go to sleep, when I saw somebody in southern United States shelling corn, big grain combine. I think it had 8 or 12 row head. It was just eating up that corn. And the text was, he's 86 running a combine. Isn't it great? And I looked at all the comments. Good for him. Way to go. That's awesome. And this morning, after listening to Craig's comment about not having 30-year-olds, I thought, maybe that 86-year-old has to run because he didn't have a retirement plan. But regardless, it's a huge contrast between us celebrating an 86-year-old and lamenting that we don't have anybody under 30 in farming. Now, we can talk about all the reasons behind that, but I'm going to key in on one thing, and retirement planning is what I'm going to key in on. Now, when it comes to me in my farm and what we do, I've been called a hobby farmer. I've been told by people I'm close to that I need to stop farming so that the real farmers can do it. I've been told that I'm not a real farmer, and I think my banker and my checking account that goes through hundreds of thousands of dollars in both expenses and income a year would disagree. But the thing that I view this, and I talked about this before, I view my asset of my education, my skills, and my brain as an asset for the farm. No different than a truck, a tiling machine, a big combine I use for custom work. My off-farm income diversifies me. And the place where it diversifies me and sets me apart from the quote-unquote real farmers is my 7-figure retirement plan. And when I talk to my banker friends, in either casual conversation or when we're doing note renewals, that comes up. My banker friends and my banker have said, that sets you apart because you have a retirement plan. So how does me not being a real farmer with a retirement plan set me apart from the real farmers? On Monday, on the Farm for Profit podcast, Levi Morrissey was the guest, and he talked about retirement planning, and he hit on it, and he hit on a huge topic that I think is a big elephant in the room when it comes to farmers and retirement planning. He talked about income minimization. We hear about it every year. December 1st rolls around, the co-op's knocking, hey, let's prepay some stuff. The John Deere dealer salesman comes in and he's like, hey, let's line up some equipment purchases, reduce that income. Let's take advantage of Section 179 deductions. What I didn't really think about, and it did hit home until Levi was talking about it, is that drive to minimize income has a massive effect, not only on your immediate tax burden, but what I hadn't thought about was how it affects your Social Security income and eligibility. He mentioned that Social Security is based upon 35 years of your highest income. We all get that Social Security statement a month or two before our birthday, and you look through it and go, oh, look at that. There's my average income, and here's my full retirement age and all that. When I look at mine's W-2 income. So your taxable income shows in there, and it's like this number, this number, this number, this number. And I can just imagine what some of those Social Security statements look like for some real farmers that have spent a lifetime minimizing income, accumulating paper wealth. That's a lot of small numbers on there. When the Social Security algorithms do their calculations on small income, you get small Social Security payments, or in some cases, none. The other thing that income minimization does, if you don't plan, you don't contribute to an IRA. Don't care if it's a Roth or traditional, or in some cases, you have a S Corp or C Corp or however you set your farm up that doesn't have a retirement plan. If you minimize income and you rely on land purchases or equipment purchases to reduce that income, and you're not contributing to a 401k or Roth, are you really planning for retirement? And I know everybody hates paying taxes. Farmers more than anybody hates paying taxes. But what's the cost of that strategy? And we talked about reducing subsequent income. And a lot of times we approach retirement discussions kind of like the Platte River. We talk about a lot of stuff, we cover a lot of ground, but we don't go very deep. And the other thing that I hear often is people investing in land. Well, that's my retirement plan. Great. I love that. And, with the big, beautiful bill that President Trump pushed and got passed, I think there's some changes coming to IRA rules where you can actually own land in it. I think. I'm not a tax professional. I'm not a retirement professional. But there could be some things coming down the pike where you can actually put land in without going through a bunch of loops and jumps and whatever to make it work. So, hey, that's great. The problem is when you're that 86-year-old running that big combine and shelling corn and you didn't have a retirement plan. And your retirement plan was buying this 80 and this 40 and this quarter section. And you get to 70 or 75 at 80. And you have to sell that because that's your retirement plan. Oh, no. That's the legacy. I want to pass that down, which brings its own cascade of challenges if there's no succession plan. So we get back to what we talked about to the start. If we don't have a retirement plan, if we minimize income, if we invest in land without a plan for retirement, can a farmer really retire? So we get back to the problem we have in agriculture. You're rich on paper, but poor in cash. And when you hit retirement and you need that money and you don't have Social Security, then you really do have to farm at 86 years old because you need some cash income to pay the bills. So from my off-farm experience, a lot of what we're discussing is confirmation bias. It makes me look great because I got money in retirement. I don't have land, but I got money in retirement. Maybe that puts me in a blind spot. Or maybe that puts me in a position where I can call out the lack of retirement planning by farmers because they're trying to fight this minimizing tax and minimizing income. Let's bring it back to what we talked about before, that massive contrast between the 86-year-old running that multi-$100,000 combine and the lament that we don't have farmers under 30. Farming's a lifestyle that's a business, or a business that's a lifestyle. Yeah. It's because we don't have farm turnover because farmers don't have retirement plans and they have to keep farming because they don't have their retirement plans. So in the big picture, maybe it's something we need to address. Just my thoughts here on a Wednesday morning from my Terra Level Executive Suite. I sure appreciate everybody listening and following along. We're going to return to talking with guests about their ag roots and how those ag roots form them. I've got 2 banger guests next week. Looking forward to those episodes. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you on the next episode.